If you want to protect your children from predators, watch this video. I'm about to give y'all top 5 real quick. Number 1, stop thinking that predators are only adults because they're kids too. Number 1 person for your child to be victimized by is another child. Add that to the list of why you do not let your child go to sleepovers. The unfortunate byproduct of our child's abuse being another child is that our child can then take this behavior and replicate it with another child because they are warned against adults, not children. Number 2, do not think just because you send your kid to school, they are safe. Them teachers ain't watching your kids. My then kindergartner Michael, 5 years old, got locked out of school twice the first week. Half these teachers just there collecting a check, but you ain't heard it from me. Number 3, when your kids get home, ask them about their day. Now I'm hearing so many crazy stories about what's happening in the back of these buses and in these classrooms. Ask your children about their day. Number 4, if you know your child is a predator, please don't unleash them unknowingly on the rest of the world. You know your child is a predator. Protect other children from your child. My point is, make sure you're talking to your children about what's going on at school. I'm watching too many videos and people are sending me too many videos of where children are being assaulted while at school by other students and they're filming it. And I've seen children as young as kindergarten and the 1st grade, so please do not be under the illusion that your child is too young for this level of awareness. And a lot of this is boy-on-boy activity. Of course, what girls are running around pulling each other's pants down and pulling their wedgies up, like, that's not girl-female activity. Hating for females looks a lot different than it does for boys. But I'm gonna drink my water from my Lonnie Taylor art tumbler and mind my business. So I just want to give you a couple tips about how you should talk to your children in relation to this. Of course, these are just tips. You move how you move, but definitely put it on your kid's radar, age appropriately. I watched the video this morning, then I called Michael. My wrote over to me, and I was like, you make sure you tell me if anyone touches your body. You understand that no one is to ever go underneath your clothes, correct? He was like, yes, this is my body. No one's supposed to touch my body. Okay, and I was like, if anyone does ever touch you under your clothes, you make sure you tell an adult. And immediately after you tell that adult, you come and tell your mother and your father. Do you understand me? But no one is to be touching you underneath your clothes. Now, that is age appropriate for my. I'm not going to keep that conversation away from my because he's not old enough. Well, guess what? These stories that I'm seeing, these are kindergartners, these are 1st graders who are being violated by other children. If you have an older child, let them watch this video and start having a conversation about it. Teach your children to not only not participate, but also to not stand idly by while they see a human being violated. If you see something, do something. If you don't feel safe enough to do something, then please involve an adult. If you do not trust the adults that are present, wait till you get home and tell your parents. Parents, once you are given this information, go and tell somebody so they could help these children and save these children. My children, and I have permission to share this, my children have been subjected to child predators. Why? Because the adults never said anything. And trust me, one of these, the mother knew, because he was groomed my child the way that he was groomed. So if your child is a predator, speak up. If your child is aware of a predator, speak up. The only way we can protect our children from being victims is if we all speak up. So your kid may hit you back with, yeah, they could talk to me this way because this is the only way that I know to be talked to. So that's a self-check moment. Do you deserve to be treated this way? If you want to hang out with somebody and they don't want to hang out with you, is that friendship to you? Does friendship look like that to you? What does friendship look like to you? We're no longer feeding our children answers. Because if we're feeding our children answers, first of all, our answers are based off of our experiences. And that's okay if you're able to see multiple perspectives. But very few of us are able to see out of our own scope of lens. But if you are capable of seeing multiple perspectives, now you can navigate and move and help your kid figure stuff out. Because no matter what comes out of your kid's mouth, you know how to answer it. You know what I'm saying? That may have gotten mixed up. But anyway, it made some sense somewhere and then it just got lost. But the point that I wanted to make is stop feeding your children answers and start allowing your child to answer for themselves, because your child is giving the answer based on their experience and their perspective. And remember, their experience and their perspective is in their timeline. Our experience and our perspective is in our timeline. And yes, we have wisdom, i.e., I have lived through what I've lived through, but I also need to come through. When I share my lived experience with you, I need to be able to link into your experience based on your experience. You know what I'm saying? I can always tell a story to help make my example. When Angel came home and she would tell me how people are treating her at school, I would immediately cut her off and give her a solution. And she's like, you're not even letting me speak. How are you coming with a solution and you ain't even heard the problem? I was like, because I already know what you're going to say. And I had to check myself, because she was just like, I don't even want to talk to you, because every time I try to talk to you, you don't even hear me out. And I'm thinking I'm doing good, because I'm just like, well, I'm telling you, boom, boop, boop. Those of you who are unfamiliar, the book I'm referring to is What's the Best That Can Happen. Early on in my journey, I realized that as a man thinks, so he is, and also the power in words and thought. So I took the idea of what's the worst that can happen, because that's the thinking that we're tricked into. What's the worst that can happen? Let's go ahead and try it. What's the worst that can happen? And I have heard some speaking points and philosophies. Hey, Rhea, I've heard some speaking points and some philosophies where people are like, a way to overcome anxiety in life is to run yourself through all the possible scenario outcomes. So what is the worst that can happen? Because a way to avoid the anxiety and the inactivity of anxiety is to take yourself through all the possible outcomes. And in the possible outcomes, you do ask yourself, what's the worst that can happen? But I decided to switch that popular expression into what's the best that can happen. Yes, it's okay to understand that things can go any kind of way, because control is an illusion, but let's look at life through the lens of what is the best possible outcome we can receive. And the way that we receive the best possible outcome is to start doing the work in our mind, in our heart, in our spirit, in our physical world. Things happen in the spiritual world way before they happen into the physical world. That's why most of us gravitate towards spirituality first. So we are studying this book. This is an ongoing study group, so no matter when you drop in, just get your copy of the textbook, start reading, working at your pace. Initially, the book club was a chapter a day so we could get through it in 30 days. But as I'm doing the work right along with you, there's no way that you can heal yourself in a chapter a day if you're actually focused on healing yourself. So we are moving through this book at our own pace, but we are moving through this book intentionally and doing the work, hopping on these lives, asking questions. If you need to get with me one-on-one, DM me for that detail so we could do one-on-one sessions, and really doing the work of healing ourselves.
You can do better. I know you love him. You just gotta love yourself more. Gotta be careful. He don't even put in no effort to make you feel special. Why you still effort? Don't even hide it. It's right in your face. Telling you lie just to make you feel safe.
Those of you who are on your healing journey, it's not about attaching to the new teaching, attaching to the new teaching, attaching to the new teaching. Your healing is in identifying a process and methodology. Hey, Nova. A process and methodology that aligns with you, in working that process and applying it to where you are today. I can read this book over and over and over again, and as long as I am committed to the healing associated with this book, that means that I can always reapply. I told people when I started talking about this book, because it's been around since 2013, but I just now started talking about it, I would tell people, well, it's for the beginning of your healing journey. I wrote it in the beginning of my healing journey, but now that I'm reading the book, I'm like, sis, this is the same stuff you're talking about now with a higher or greater or different perspective or understanding. So there's nothing new under the sun on your healing journey. It only becomes brand new because you are constantly chasing something instead of sticking to something. And I encourage you to pick up your copy of What's the Best That Can Happen. Hop on these lives, hop in my DMs for one-on-one sessions so that we can start intentionally healing, because it's not about chasing a new healing methodology. It's about applying one intentionally.
I should sit down with the mill. I should try to save my city. Then I think back to myself. I should man my fucking business. I should sit down with the mill. I should try to save my city. Then I think back to myself. I should man my fucking business.
Read the second sentence until you read it.